Ever wondered how millions of Pepsi bottles are made each day? This behind-the-scenes factory tour reveals the high-tech secrets, flavor science, and Pepsi versus Coke showdown you didn't know you needed. Let's start at the very beginning. Why is Pepsi so irresistible? Every day, millions of people around the world reach for a Pepsi, craving that signature crispness and fizz. But what's behind that allure? It's not just sugar and bubbles, it's a carefully engineered symphony of flavors. Pepsi's sweetness comes from high fructose corn syrup, which provides a consistent, balanced sweetness without being overpowering. But there's more. A subtle hint of citrus gives Pepsi its refreshing tang, making it feel lighter and less cloying than many other sodas. This flavor profile isn't an accident. It's the result of decades of research and flavor optimization, designed to appeal to the widest possible audience. In fact, research shows that Pepsi's unique blend of sweetness and acidity activates the pleasure centers in our brains, much like chocolate does. That's why it's so easy to reach for a second or even a third can. While some brands rely on pure sugar overload, Pepsi's flavor engineers have perfected a formula that feels refreshing and leaves you wanting more without the heavy aftertaste. It's this attention to detail that's kept Pepsi at the top of the global beverage market for over a century. Now let's start with a little bit of history, because understanding where Pepsi comes from helps us appreciate the scale and precision of what goes on inside the factory. Pepsi Cola was first created in 1893 by an American pharmacist named Caleb Bradham in New Bern, North Carolina. Back then it wasn't even called Pepsi. It was known as Brad's Drink, and it was made right in Bradham's own home. The original formula included pepsin, an enzyme that aids digestion, which is where the name Pepsi comes from. The drink was intended to help with indigestion, and like many sodas of the era, it was first marketed as a kind of health tonic. Over time, the formula evolved, the name changed to Pepsi Cola, and the drink's popularity exploded. Today, Pepsi is available in almost every store, cafe, and restaurant you can imagine, including global chains like KFC, Pizza Hut, and Burger King. And PepsiCo, the company behind the drink, has expanded its reach far beyond soda, producing everything from 7-Up, Mirinda, and Mountain Dew, to snacks like Lay's Crisps, Cheetos, and Sunbites. But let's get back to the star of the show, Pepsi itself, and see what actually happens inside a modern Pepsi factory. For this journey, we're heading to the Pepsi plant in Micro, Poland, which is a great example of the advanced technology and meticulous processes that go into making every bottle and can of Pepsi you see on the shelves. The first thing to understand is that the production of Pepsi is a carefully controlled multi-stage process that combines chemistry, engineering, and rigorous quality control at every step. The process begins with the most important ingredient of all, water. Water makes up the majority of any soft drink, so its purity is absolutely crucial. At the Pepsi factory, water is sourced from local supplies and then put through an extensive purification process. This includes filtration to remove any particles, reverse osmosis to eliminate dissolved impurities, and UV treatment to kill any bacteria or viruses. The goal is to ensure that the water is as pure as possible before it ever touches the other ingredients. Once the water has passed all these checks, it's ready to be mixed with the syrup. Let me take you inside one of the most fascinating parts of the Pepsi making process, the syrup stage, where the real magic begins. This is where that unmistakable Pepsi flavor is born, and trust me, it's more than just mixing a few ingredients together. We're talking about a concentrated blend of sugar, caramel color, natural and artificial flavors, caffeine, phosphoric acid, and citric acid, all coming together to create the signature taste that so many people around the world instantly recognize. Of course, the exact recipe, that's a closely guarded secret, protected like a treasure, with only a select few within the company knowing the full formula. What I found especially interesting is how incredibly precise the entire process is. The syrup isn't just thrown together. It's carefully mixed in massive stainless steel tanks where every single variable is tightly controlled. We're talking exact temperature settings, specific mixing speeds, and highly calibrated equipment to make sure everything blends just right. Inside these tanks, the ingredients are brought together in exact proportions, creating a rich, concentrated syrup that will soon be the heart of every bottle and can of Pepsi produced. Quality control is a huge part of this step. At multiple points throughout the mixing process, trained technicians take samples of the syrup. They test it for sweetness, acidity, texture, and most importantly, the flavor. It has to meet very specific standards, the Pepsi standard, before it can move forward. If even one test is off, the batch gets flagged for adjustments or discarded entirely. It's that level of attention to detail that ensures every can or bottle you crack open tastes just like the one before it. Only when the syrup is absolutely perfect, when it passes every test and matches the brand's strict quality benchmarks, does it move on to the next stage of the production line. Now, it's time to combine the purified water and the syrup. This is done in a process called proportioning, where the two are mixed together in exact ratios. The mixture is then chilled to just above freezing, which helps with the next step, carbonation. Carbonation is what gives Pepsi its signature fizz. Carbon dioxide gas is injected into the chilled liquid under high pressure, dissolving into the drink and creating those tiny bubbles that make soda so refreshing. The temperature and pressure have to be just right. Too warm or too low, and the carbonation won't hold. Too cold or too high, and you risk overcarbonation or even damaging the bottles and cans. With the Pepsi now mixed, chilled, and carbonated, it's ready to be bottled. But before any bottle or can is filled, it goes through a rigorous cleaning process. At the micro plant, bottles are washed and sterilized using high-pressure jets and steam, while cans are rinsed with filtered water and inspected by high-speed cameras for any defects. Any container that doesn't pass inspection is automatically rejected and recycled. Only the cleanest, most perfect bottles and cans make it to the filling line. The filling process itself is a marvel of modern engineering. Conveyor belts move thousands of bottles and cans per hour into position under the filling nozzles. Each container is filled with the exact right amount of Pepsi, then immediately sealed with a cap or pull tab to lock in the carbonation and freshness. The entire process is automated and monitored by sensors and cameras to ensure there are no leaks, spills, or underfilled containers. After filling, each bottle and can is labeled with the iconic Pepsi branding, and a date code is printed to track freshness. But the process doesn't stop there. Every batch of Pepsi undergoes a final round of quality control before it leaves the factory. Samples are taken from the production line and tested in on-site laboratories for taste, carbonation, acidity, and even color. The goal is to ensure that every bottle tastes exactly as it should, whether you're drinking it in Poland, the United States, or anywhere else in the world. If any batch doesn't meet the strict standards, it's pulled from the line and never reaches consumers. Once Pepsi has passed all these tests, it's ready for packaging and distribution. Robotic arms and conveyor belts stack the bottles and cans into crates, shrink wrap them for protection, and load them onto pallets. These pallets are then moved into the warehouse where they're stored at the right temperature until they're shipped out to stores, restaurants, and vending machines across the country and around the world. The logistics behind this are staggering. PepsiCo's supply chain is a finely tuned machine, ensuring that fresh Pepsi is always available wherever you are. But making a great tasting soda is only half the battle. In recent years, PepsiCo has made major strides in sustainable packaging, recognizing that today's consumers care as much about the planet as they do about flavor. One of the most innovative moves is the introduction of refillable glass bottles. Not only are these bottles eco-friendly, but they also enhance the drinking experience. Glass preserves carbonation better than plastic, keeping your Pepsi fizzier for longer and eliminating any risk of off flavors. The refillable system works like this. After you enjoy your Pepsi, you return the empty bottle, which is then thoroughly cleaned, sterilized, and refilled. This closed-loop system reduces waste and encourages repeat purchases, helping both the environment and customer loyalty. But Pepsi isn't stopping there. The company has also rolled out a new generation of plastic bottles made from recycled materials, further shrinking its carbon footprint. Pepsi's sleek black plastic bottles, a bold visual statement on store shelves, but also a recycling challenge. Black plastic absorbs infrared light, making it harder for automated recycling systems to detect and sort. PepsiCo has faced criticism from environmental groups for this, but they're actively researching solutions, such as redesigning the plastic formula or adding special markers to make the bottles easier to recycle. Some factories even generate their own renewable energy or use waste heat from the production process to power other parts of the plant. It's all part of PepsiCo's commitment to being a responsible corporate citizen and protecting the planet for future generations. Of course, Pepsi is just one part of a much larger company. PepsiCo also produces a wide range of other beverages, including 7-Up, Mirinda, Schweppes, Lipton iced tea, and Mountain Dew, as well as snacks like Lay's, Cheetos, and Sunbites. Each of these products has its own unique production process, but they all share the same commitment to quality, consistency, and innovation. Whether it's a can of Pepsi or a bag of chips, you can be sure that it's been made with the same attention to detail and the same passion for excellence. So the next time you crack open a cold Pepsi, take a moment to appreciate the journey it's been on. From the purification of the water, to the blending of the syrup, to the precision of the carbonation and bottling, to the final round of quality control and packaging. It's a story of science, technology, and a little bit of magic, all coming together to create one of the world's most beloved drinks. And remember, behind every bottle and can is a team of dedicated workers, engineers, and scientists who make it all possible. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the world of Pepsi production, let me know in the comments what's your favorite way to enjoy Pepsi, ice cold from the can, poured over ice, or maybe in a glass bottle. And if you want more behind-the-scenes looks at how your favorite products are made, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell for notifications. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.